Okay, it's 7 o'clock. I'd like to bring the Rose Township, regular Township Board meeting to order. Today is July 12th, 2023. This is our regular meeting. We're located at 9080 Mason Street. If you'd like to rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance with us, please do. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Gamka?
Here.
Mrs. Misch? Here. Ms. Miller? Here. Mrs. Walls excused. And Ms. Scheibsider?
Present. I'd like to make a motion to excuse Patricia Walls, please. Would you like to support?
I support.
Motion from Scheibsider. Support from Misch. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Misch?
Yes.
Ms. Miller, yes. Mr. Gamka?
Yes.
Ms. Scheibsider?
Yes, thank you. First thing on the agenda we have is approval of the agenda. Would anybody like to move to approve the agenda as presented, or do they have any changes or comments to make?
Nope. I'll approve.
Do you want to make a motion to approve?
Okay, I'll support.
Motion to approve the agenda, support from Gamka. Motion from Misch. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Miller, yes. Mr. Gamka?
Yes.
Mrs. Misch?
Yes.
And Ms. Scheibsider?
Yes. Motion carries. Next, we have the approval of the consent agenda, which includes the meeting minutes and several reports. There is no higher report. They did not meet this month. I just passed out the CDBG and code enforcement. It wasn't in the packet, but I just gave it to everybody. So I believe all the other reports are in the monthly reports. Would anybody make a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll motion to approve.
Misch
Okay, I'll support.
and Gamka. Could I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Gamka?
Yes.
Mrs. Misch?
Yes.
Ms. Miller, yes. Ms. Scheibsider?
Yes, motion carries. At this time, we'll take brief public comments on agenda items. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. We have under new business the appointment of the North Oakland County Fire Authority Board of Directors and resolving office space to improve progress to better serve our residents. If you'd like to speak about either one of those, please do.
Julia Stern, 1445 Munger Road. Diane works very hard at concealing what she's doing. Looking at the vague, brief descriptions, you would know she loved illegal use of closed sessions. Diane has been busy doing illegal things this month,
What does this have to
as
do with
every
North
month.
Oakland County?
Don't interrupt me, I got my 3 minutes. At the end, if there's a problem, you let me know.
Excuse me, but.
Every month
this
I
is
receive,
not an agenda
it
item.
is.
What is,
Shut your mouth.
what agenda are you referencing?
Every month I receive the Township Attorney Melva Hill's monthly statement, usually even
This is
in the
not an
last
agenda
2
item. You're
days
out of order.
of the previous month. He is so
You're out of order,
eager
Mr.
to
Stern.
get the money
You can say
that
that
his
after-
monthly
at the end.
charges have been $75 each month. But this last month,
I
it was
apologize.
$100.
I don't know what to do about him.
So Diane is incompetent in doing simple tasks and has written the agenda, but she pays him $100 a month just to write the agenda. But last month, the annual budget month, on Diane's imperative, he withheld his invoice till the 17th. so Diane could hide the $10,000 attorney bill and the extremely secret illegal excess over last year's budget, and increase this year's budget before anyone knew. It's illegal to do deficit spending. That month, the agenda preparation was an unheard of $25 against his $10,000 invoice. The NACPA board vacancy has existed since March. I think that Paul's third resignation must be his menopause. The Articles of Incorporation require a replacement in 90 days. Diane has not done so, and in fact falsified the dates in tonight's agenda by saying the appointment is taking place in June. And we all know this is July and 120 days and is a violation. Through the years, 3 outstanding municipal attorneys have submitted legal opinions that persons with the lack of character as the township supervisor, Diane Scheib-Snyder, as a fired firefighter, is ineligible for any NACFA board membership position. As Elton John eloquently said, we'll sing it on the way home, "The bitch is back."
Welcome, Trooper. You missed our
You just
public
missed
comment.
it.
Okay, would anybody else have a public comment, and would you please stick to the agenda item and try not to make personal attacks and call people's names? I'd appreciate it.
Okay.
My name is Dan Johnson. I live at 8635 Tipsco Trail, Holly, Michigan. Regarding one of the agenda topics, the open NACFA position, and the resolution that was in the agenda packet, I would just like everybody to know that in 2008, Diane was fired from NACFA for cause. She didn't contest the firing for cause. She's confirmed this at a Rose Township board meeting when questioned by resident Warren Hardy. For cause means for a legitimate, specific reason with justification. In November of 2008, Diane was elected to an open trustee position on the Rose Township Board. In January of 2012, Diane was appointed by the Rose Township Board to an open position on the NACFA Board. In May of 2016, Diane was appointed to the open interim position of Rose Township Supervisor, and in November of 2016, Diane was elected to the position of Rose Township Supervisor. On all 4 occasions, according to government ethics, Diane should have notified the NACFA board and the residents that she was fired for cause, because she would be voting on the NACFA budget and NACFA topics. Not once did she tell the board members that she was fired for cause. Also, the NACFA bylaws require that open board positions must be filled within 90 days. Based on when Diane resigned from the NACFA board, today is 114 days. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anybody else have comments?
Linda wants to call 9160 Eagle Road regarding the open position on the NACFA board. Based on prior performance, I feel appointing Diane Scheib-Snyder to this position would be detrimental to both Rose Township and NACFA.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Love, 850 Munger. I had a question about something that I took as being unfinished business. Last month in the contract, when you were going over the budget, you wouldn't give anything to OSHA because you said it was a contract. They were supposed to come up with some writing saying that you cannot give them money through unless they have a contract. Do we have that information?
I did not seek out any information. I was told
No, it
by
was.
our,
it
but you
was-
know what, I'll talk to you about this afterwards, I'd be happy
No,
to. This is not an
this is
agenda
old
item.
business, this is on the agenda.
No,
No,
this is under
it's-
new business, and that's all the
Says
thing we're
comments of
discussing.
unfinished and new business. This is unfinished because the
nothing under
request
new-
was
there's
made
nothing
last
under
month
unfinished
to have
business.
something in writing brought in, and I'm just asking if they'd gotten something. You,
Didn't ask if they got anything, because I did not.
Okay, but it was said that it was hearsay, that's what was said. You said, well, it's not hearsay because I said it. Well, legally, it's hearsay unless you're the one that produced it, okay? And it was supposed to be here, and I'm asking if somebody got it. Because if that's only through contract and it's in writing, then I believe we have other money that's going out to places that are not in contract possibly, and that needs to be sorted out, okay?
Thank you.
So please, do as what was said, get something in writing, showing what is and what is not allowed
Can I
for the
speak?
finances.
I called Haya and asked them for a copy of the contract, which Diane said she had in her office.
I
They
didn't
said
say I had
that-
it in my office. I said I've seen
You
it
said it
before.
in the last meeting, that you had it in your office, because
anyways.
OSA was denied the $5,000 general fund, but Haya was given the $5,000 general fund money. And OSA, the CEO called me and said, what can I do? And I said, well, Diane said she had a contract in her office. And I said, but she's not here, so I called Haya. They said there is no such contract. And I said, okay, thank you. So I emailed the CEO. I don't know what the problem is because I'm on the board of directors for OSA. So maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. But they were not given the money, but they have every year, but now this year they weren't.
Okay, well, I'm just
We
looking
have
for
a
things to be.
governmental agreement with Haya, and we have since the 1950s. That's what I was referencing. But go ahead, Mr. Love, I'm sorry, we're
I
interrupting
just
your
want
public comment.
everything to be equal across the board on it. If that's the way the budget's supposed to be used, then it needs to be equal for everybody.
Supposed to
So
be
we
for
need
the
the stuff
residents.
in writing.
I
Okay?
have no problem doing it
Okay.
if somebody wants to do some homework and present it. I have no problem.
You are part of this board. It is your
I know.
responsibility as part of this board to make sure that this information is gotten. These are the people you work for, right here.
We all do, though. It's all of our jobs.
You work for these people don't work for you.
All right.
So if something is made as a request, it's up to you to make sure that that request is fulfilled.
Not everything falls on the supervisor, but thank you. Does anybody else have a public comment?
I think it falls
Go
on
ahead,
the
Sandy.
board as a whole.
I agree, I agree.
And you're supposed to be leading this meeting, so you should have some control over the stuff being done, okay? It's up to you to make sure that, talk to the people that are supposed to find that information.
Residents have said the shit stops here.
Go ahead, Sandy.
I'm Sandy Villarreal, Rose Township resident, Ottaway Court. Excuse me if I'll try not to be emotional. I'm a longtime past employee of NACFA. I am not a fired employee, and if Jeremy Lentz, the chief, was here, I would tell you. I would have him tell you. I was not fired.
Sue me.
In fact,
Stop.
yeah, I would appreciate if all of you on this board would keep this in order. So anyway, I was never fired. I was never a firefighter. I was the medical coordinator that coordinated everything between the doctors, the hospitals, and the state of Michigan, and taught everybody. Regarding the agenda item to put Supervisor Diane back on the fire board, if you look at the current makeup of the fire board, you will see that she is doing what she should do as a township supervisor so that our township has representation. Nobody else wants to be on it because it was such a mess with all of the things that they were putting in the tri-county, the lies and all the other things. So
Do you mind?
she actually is doing, pardon?
Excuse me, but
interrupt her.
she's trying to speak. You're interrupting her.
Stop interrupting her.
You're out
Thank
of
you for doing your
order.
job, Diane. The fact that she is a former firefighter, EMT for the department, is a plus to be on this fire board. Just like having a retired teacher on our school board, as an example, it's a plus to have at least one person with inside experience, insight, perspective, and knowledge. Remember that this anti-Diane movement didn't just start this year. This started in 2019 or maybe before when Diane opposed, I won't go into it, but it was, she questioned. She didn't even oppose it. She questioned something that they still have not instigated as far as the taxing authority and money and everything. She questioned that, okay? She's always been very fair and unbiased in her decisions with our fire department, which amazes me because with all of the problems that she's had, I see her time and time again approving budgets and being respectful to these people. Chief Lentz, on the other hand, who I speak with respectfully, professionally to this day, even though we disagree, he has always appeared to not like being questioned. I know this because I worked side by side with him for many years, including during the time that he had our Rose Township's treasurer, Susan Slaughter, ousted from this board for questioning him. Her replacement was hand-picked by him. I went to the many meetings at his house to determine who would take her place. His attempt in the last election failed to have Diane replaced, but he is relentless and will handpick somebody to run against her in 2024. There's a lot of misinformation and out-and-out lies being told, and it continues to this day, right here in this room today. It's been told by others to meet the chief's objectives. These are the chief's objectives. I know Jeremy Lentz very well. I helped start the medical
How's that
part
timer
of
doing?
NACFA with Jeremy.
What's that 3 minutes?
I was never a,
I'm sorry.
if he keeps talking, I'm gonna have to reclaim my time.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead. Please finish.
One of these people stated, I'm a fired firefighter. I was never a firefighter and never fired from NACFA. I was a medical instructor and coordinator for many years. I was aware of what certifications each and every employee and volunteer had. Diane does, in fact, have her state
3 minutes.
of Michigan firefighter certificate. She responded to fires in fire trucks. I responded as ambulance rescue. If you're a resident of our township, you should reach out to Diane for her side of the story. If anyone has questions of me, feel free to ask me after the meeting. And may I say, because it's not my medical business, but I remember as her medical instructor and oversaw everybody, she had cancer, breast cancer, treatments.
Sandy, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Yeah. Really? You guys ought to be ashamed of yourselves.
Well, I know I'm not allowed
Thank
on
you.
the board because I used to be part of them, and I can't go with citizens at large because of it, okay?
Thank you.
Diane said
Right.
publicly that she was trying to get the fire chief fired.
There's
That was her
nothing-
goal in life.
There's nothing that has ever been said that I can't serve, so whoever made that statement, and I don't
3
remember who it
attorneys
was.
have told you that they can't
No, no
serve.
one has
You're
told me.
ineligible.
Nobody has told me.
3 municipal attorneys
No.
told you you can't serve.
No,
You're ineligible.
you're wrong.
You're nuts.
Many attorney has told me there's nothing stopping me from serving. But let's go into new business. To appoint the North Oakland County Fire Authority Board of Directors,
Case.
I do have a, agenda.
Is there anybody else that needs to speak?
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. Okay, thank you. I apologize. You need to correct the June 2023 to July. I started typing that in June. I did check with the, excuse me, you're out of order.
Good.
This is our board meeting now. Your public comment's over. I did check with the attorney about
First Amendment's still
serving
applies.
and the time frame, mainly because nobody wants to do it. So, after a lot of thought about it, I decided that I would serve, and so here's my motion. Motion for the board to approve that Supervisor Scheib Snyder, oh my goodness, hold on. Let's start all over here.
You're messing up your stuff, huh?
Let me,
Incompetent.
to approve the resolution for Supervisor Scheib Snyder to serve on the NACFA Board of Directors. NACFA bylaws state 2 representatives need to serve from each municipality. No one else wants to fill the vacant seat for Rose Township. And I am willing, even though I would rather not, but I feel it's important to be fiscally responsible to our taxpayers for our taxpayers. For this fiscal year alone, Rose Township portion of the NACFA budget is $1,242,377, and I want to serve on the NACFA board in order to represent our constituents. Thank you.
May I please have a copy of that?
Yeah, I'll make you one later. Does anybody want to support my motion?
I'll support. I
Motion
don't want
from
the job.
Scheib Snyder, support from Meach. Any discussion?
Yeah. I don't think, Diane, that you should be on there. You were an ex-employee. You're on the board before. You should never put an ex-employee on any type of board. You were released from NACFA. We almost lost NACFA because of you. You didn't want to, first you approved the budget, and then it brought it to here, to Rose Township, and then you wouldn't approve it. Therefore, they went out and joined the union, which cost the township a heck of a lot more money. You said in the meeting at NACFA you would approve it. Then you brought it to the Rose Township and flat out refused to approve it. I was here. You already discussed the 90 days from the resignation from Mr. Gamka that should have been taken care of in June. You and Mrs. Walls are not qualified because you're both ex-employees. The only person that's qualified is Mrs. Misch. She was not an employee. So she should be going on the board, not you and not Walls,
Okay.
because you're both ex-employees.
Anybody else have any comments?
Well, I don't think, Debbie's making a lot of statements and.
Now, I'm making true
emotional
statements too.
Let him
here,
have
and,
his
You know,
say.
I said nothing while you went on, give me my
Oh, I will.
opportunity, so. I mean,
how many
Debbie's
times?
also here.
Excuse me, you're out of order,
So we
Mr.
are-
Stern.
So you come, and there's nothing in the rules that says about an ex-employee. Jeremy Lintz was trying to put this through on several occasions, and it never passed. And, you know, Jeremy Lintz was, during this last year at this time, Jeremy Lintz hired Dan Johnson and Spees to try to recall both myself.
You're liars.
Excuse
I
me.
have it in, I have a.
You're
I have a,
liars.
play it.
Excuse me, I didn't say what you were saying, it was not truthful, so let him talk.
You're so
And
fake.
so
I'm
this is
asking
what
you
we
to prove it.
have here, so that, I see nothing wrong. I wouldn't go back on. I was on the board for 10 years, and they, you know why they tried to get rid of me, Jeremy Lintz?
Because you're a
Jeremy
crook.
Lintz? Because we disagreed with him.
Because he
That is
gave
because-
that,
You're out of order.
he gave the fire chief a zero for no reason.
You're out of
Every
order.
other board member
When?
gets tens.
He went out and tried to recall, not once, but twice. And I want to take a moment and thank the citizens of Rose Township for not listening to Dan Johnson and all the BS that he put out about both of myself and Diane. So, I mean,
I have a lot of screenshots of a bunch of stuff. too.
Oh, I know.
I've
Well,
actually
this
talked
is-
to
the one thing-
prosecutors and attorneys
well,
about it.
they just go, so they come here.
Including that I was followed places and.
yeah. Well, I'm just
and
saying
my
is-
personal time and other time.
I mean, I was on the board for over 10 years, and, you know, and we disagreed with this arrogant, narcissistic chief that we have, who thinks that he knows everything about everything. And, you know, I left because, you know, it was time to let someone else do it.
How about your felon friend Engelberg,
And
Diane?
so anyhow,
Anyhow,
anyhow.
that whole
so
recall,
anything
because,
that- Anything that Mr. Stern and Dan Johnson want, you right away, you know that they're wrong.
Let's see.
but the whole problem was Diane tried to get rid of the fire chief.
No, he didn't.
Yes, she did.
No,
Yes, she did. She said in the meeting.
In there.
I said, yes, this is on record. This is on YouTube. I said, it was misappropriation of
Is this something you
funds.
put on YouTube? Yeah, you
No,
put
it's on your meeting. It's on your meeting.
Not our meeting.
anything. You went out,
It was Diane tried to get rid of the fire chief.
Said it in
It was
press.
misappropriation of funds by going after this attorney that was supposed to help you with the union contract.
no one
Oh, yes, it was.
misappropriated
This
funds.
went on last,
There was no misappropriated
oh, there
funds.
certainly
There
was.
wasn't at all.
Yes, there was, which is illegal.
Spare me.
No, there wasn't.
And,
Yes,
this
there
is
was,
something-
Diane.
This is
There
something, you're as
wasn't.
bad,
You-
you're as big
We
a
had
liar
people,
as these
we had people
are.
saying they were going to
Sitting here
line
waving
up,
this around.
and I looked into what we would do, and that was part of it.
No.
And you-
And you were at both those recall meetings, when we used this office, when the attorney said you could not use this office for recalls, and you attended both those recall meetings, Debbie. They live streamed them. You were here. So you're going against two people on your board.
I
to
am
get
not.
them removed from office.
I was not even at a meeting.
And recorded.
I was never at a meeting, Diane.
They were live streamed.
You're a liar.
I was never at a meeting.
They were live streamed, and I actually had, oh, here's Debbie.
that live stream. Show it.
I don't want to show.
Show something that's
All right,
live.
let's call the question. I have a
Question
motion.
in. Let's call
This is
the
why people get together and eat popcorn and watch these meetings, right here, this is it.
Yeah, you're the reason why.
You're the reason why. You're just some.
No, I don't think Diane should go on. I think Mrs.
Okay, let's vote.
Mrs. Meach should go on, not you.
I would call the question here. We've already, I don't know why, I wouldn't go back on Diane.
I already said I don't want to, but I feel I have to represent the township's $1 million.
No, let Mrs. Meach talk. Would you go on? And not the fire board?
No, I will not, and the reason why I won't is because the way you people treat Diane and Paul and even Debbie, I don't need to be beat up over
Nobody
this.
treats Debbie bad,
Well, then,
except for those two.
what? I'm just saying, it's very disrespectful, the way that you guys handle this, and I won't be put through that if I don't have to. And I give Diane a lot of credit for sucking it up and going, volunteering to do it, because I think it's embarrassing.
You've had your head in the sand for years.
Yeah, maybe I have,
I
but
have a
here's-
dialogue with Mr. Stern.
But the whole thing is, I think it's very disrespectful. You guys can't carry on a meeting, you can't talk nicely. And if you could, I would absolutely consider, because I would love to learn more about it. But for me to go to that meeting and for you to treat me the way you treat Diane, no, thank you.
Well, that's why I'm saying that.
Yeah,
I'm
I can't do
There is
that.
nothing that goes on at the NACFA meeting. I am on the board. It's a very polite group, very professional.
All right, well.
Yeah, we're probably very boring
Yeah.
compared to this.
Well,
This is
All
drama.
the current board members, ask them if they get any abuse, not abuse.
None.
Call the question.
Well, here's what I would do. I'll come to the next couple board meetings. I'm going to go for Diane. I'll come to the next couple board meetings and see what it's all about.
But
And maybe I'll tell you. Well, then it's too
No, it's
late.
gotta be appointed. It should have been done last month.
If you
Then
go to
no.
the board meeting, you don't like it, you can resign.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No,
Board
no.
discussion.
No, I don't want
I
to step
think,
into
I think you should
sinkhole.
try it. I think you're the only person that's eligible, Mrs. Meach.
I'm more than eligible. I've asked all the attorneys.
No, you're not.
I've asked the township
No, you're not.
attorney, I've asked
No,
Michigan
you are
Township to
not.
say, you're wrong.
No, I'm not wrong.
You get it right.
No, I'm not wrong.
In the minutes that says that.
Absolutely nothing.
Just more, you just
Yeah,
make up,
ethically.
all you do is make up a bunch of
Maybe if I
lies.
was-
I'm tired of
I'm not
you.
even talking
I'm
to
tired of you swearing at me and calling me names. You're very disrespectful to me. I never speak to you that way.
I'm tired of listening to all her lies.
Okay, let's go ahead, call them, roll call, please.
Mr. Gamka,
Yes.
Mrs. Meach,
Yes.
Ms. Miller, no. Mrs. Scheibsider,
Yes.
You fought pretty hard for a position you didn't want.
Represent the township residents. Okay.
Bring it on.
Your $1 million that when I first came on was $625,000.
Pretty much everything has gone
Hey,
up.
what was the township budget then, and what is it now?
Could we have
How about that
B.
$5 million that you blew?
B, item B, resolve office space issues to improve progress to better serve our residents. I created a space by, with help from the other board members and some of the board members and the employees, so that we could have a space to do many things that I felt were needed in the township. We need a space for hardship discussions, CDBG applications, closed sessions with the attorney, voting in the office, meetings with small groups and projects, space for just any meetings, putting together the agenda packets, putting together mailers, and this is office space, not storage space. The clerk has started to put storage space in it, so I would like to make a motion for the board to approve that the supervisor to manage the new conference and workspace that I've been creating with other employees, and to give the clerk's department a week to remove the boxes that she started to put back into that office. That's my motion.
The election is the three most important things.
Stop it.
Functions of the
There is no election this year. Stop
And you
it.
want your little friends in the office?
You're out of order,
Doing the
Mr.
elections?
Stern. This is office.
You're impeding the elections.
Anybody have any comments?
Impeding the elections.
I
is not-
actually,
I like the idea of having the little room.
I
there.
actually
That's
highlighted
nice.
space
Yeah.
in this office and what it's utilized for, so you can get an idea.
is there a second for your motion?
Did you support it?
Yes.
Mish.
Well, no, I think it's a nice spot to be able to bring in the residents, if they have questions, it's private, and it shouldn't be, you shouldn't store other stuff in there for other people to see, because a lot of it, is it not public knowledge, like,
Where should it be stored?
And then
I don't know, maybe
Okay,
purge
excuse me,
or
I have
something?
a
Excuse me, can I speak?
No, she's.
Okay, when you're done, I'm going to speak.
Sure, you go
But
ahead.
no, I think it's nice for people to come in, to be able to do a one-on-one or a two-on whatever it is, and it needs to look kind of nice. I mean, if you come in and you want to complain or whatever,
I'll tell you about that.
Well, not only just looking nice, but having that extra space to
Yeah.
work as well.
professional looking.
Yes, and having workspace, like I said, people can, I will manage a calendar if this is approved, and we will assign work, times if people want to have it for workspace. I used it myself 3 times this week. Dave used it a couple times. The agenda packets were put together in there one day. It's needed space. It's needed workspace, not storage space necessarily. I did contact some municipalities, and there are places you can get storage space at. I'm not even going to go into what I removed from that office because it was beyond disgusting.
Do we have any other storage space down here, like behind there?
You want to open it up? I'll show you the storage
No, I was
space.
just asking.
Oh, no, you need to go look at that.
This is fine. She has
Our storage space.
Anybody's welcome to come in and check.
No, they're
it out.
not. No,
Yeah, they are.
This is the meeting. They can look later.
Yeah, they're welcome to go look at that.
510 square feet, it's right
How about
there.
the
of
basement of the
space.
old township hall?
That too.
You
How
can't.
about that?
No, you can't go over there.
Can't get in there. Yeah.
Well, you know what, we could make it better.
We're
That's
not-
just it.
There's no reason an office this size needs 2 conference rooms. You already have 1 conference room. Now you're taking my stuff. I have my supplies, my election supplies in that room. I have my election supplies in my room. I have election supplies down here. I have my election supplies in the building department assessor's office. There's no reason we need 2 conference rooms. So then you start taking my stuff out. You do not touch the clerk's. And then you're going, oh, it's just crap. Get your crap out of here. Those are township records. For 6 years I've been using that room, and all of a sudden now it's gone. I said a note to the board. I said, dear board, I'm in dire need.
You weren't even
Excuse me,
here 6 years
stop.
ago.
What?
She wasn't even here 6 years ago,
No, she wasn't, but I am.
and it wasn't
I've been
there.
here 16.
3
Dear
years
board,
ago.
excuse me,
You might be
I am
business.
speaking, I have the floor. I'm in dire need of more room for my office with all the upcoming elections and a minimum of 20 to 30 additional election days, supplies to the fact that the clerk's office must keep all township records. The clerk's office has run out of room. I'm going to begin moving my office into the constable's office in the next week or 2. My goal was to remove the wall and enlarge my office, but now you put a table in there for a second conference room, I will not be able to do it at this point. The table will have to be moved into my office if we switched. And then Diane said, she did share her plan with the board, blah, blah,
I
blah.
did.
And then she said,
It's an
Debbie,
open meeting.
Debbie, here, verbatim, why don't you purge and make room? It is shitty and cruel, your deputy's words to Diane.
I didn't
To
say
take-
that.
This is from Patricia Walls.
Oh, excuse me.
Debbie, why don't you purge and make room? It is shitty and cruel, your deputy's words to Diane, to take advantage of the work of the other employees, Dave, Diane, and Caitlin, while you're consistently out of the office. Especially when you couldn't take the time to have your office painted, et cetera, when the rest of it was done. Who have you conspired with on this plan? Those 2 offices are the same size. Do what it takes to stay in your office. You also have the whole downstairs. And by the way, did you find your computer? Then Diane, Debbie, I agree. You need to clean your own office, purge and clear your stuff out of our new conference room, and use the filthy, to your own doing space you currently call your office. You seem to gravitate toward any clean areas in this building, but do nothing to improve your current workspace.
That's what I wrote, but I wouldn't have said it in that tone. It was absolutely 100%
Yeah, whatever.
true. I wouldn't have said it like that, Debbie.
Yeah, whatever, Diane. I listen to you every day. You already talk to me, and when you do, it's nasty.
Okay.
And then, let's see, Paul Gamka. Debbie, this is our conference room to provide for private meetings and not for you to take over. I think that you should bring this up at the next board meeting. Sincerely, Paul Gamka. These are just some of the nice comments I get from this board. You don't even know, I have the busiest job in this office. You wouldn't approve my budget. You don't give me enough money, which is against the law. I have to run 2 elections this year, and then I'm trying to make room. I've ordered all my supplies. I don't know where I'm going to put them.
There's 2 elections this year? You just said there's 2 elections this year. I'm confused.
You are confused.
No, I'm not.
Can I just
There are
ask-
no
can I ask a
there are
question?
none.
You know, these people are so nasty to me. He calls me an effing bitch and so forth. I'm tired of you people treating me this way. This is harassment, Diane. If you want to, it's harassment. Debbie says it's harassment. That's all she says. Well, that's exactly what it is. You're a bully and you harass me. When you do speak to me, both of you.
I think you're a bully and you harass me.
I'm not a bully. I'm a witch.
Anyways, let's call the question.
I'd like to get to the point here.
Let's call the
And,
question. I already made a motion.
I need some more room.
All right,
And
I think that's,
You know, bottom line is, this township board is trying to beat me up, number one, and set the clerk up for failure. Oh, yes, you are. Yes, you are. That's exactly your
You
goal.
can go off-site and get some places, Steve?
I need my supplies in my office. I don't need to go
You can put more
off-site.
stuff in the building department.
just ask
She's
one
only been there
question?
4 hours. Did you look at the size of the space that you have and the size that other people have? And the building department is right there, and you put some more stuff in there. She
Can I
uses
just
it
ask
4
one
hours a
question?
week.
One question.
I already have my stuff.
Say, I'm ready to hear it, okay? First of all, this whole thing over the clerk's office and a place for putting stuff, I mean, let's face it, elections are the cornerstone of this country. That's the whole thing behind it. You're supposed to have free and fair elections. And if there's money needed, or if there's storage place to keep records, you need to have it. If you say she needs another storage area, that's fine. Then get that storage area, get it approved. Don't take it out of her budget, take it out of the general fund and get that storage area and get the stuff moved and then set your office up. You can't expect her to just take something out and put it someplace where there's no place to put it, okay? Let's do this reasonably. Every one of you people on this board, some of the time I feel like I'm in here with kids. Although tonight, I like this meeting better than the other ones, because at least some people were conversing from on the floor and you got to hear something. I think you could have it a little more organized if you would just allow it to happen. I've made that suggestion I don't know how many times. You gotta set things up properly. You can't just that's like throwing somebody out on the street and tell them to take all their stuff with them and then just taking over their spot, okay? I understand you want something. Furthermore, me, I come in here, I feel like I should be able to walk into your office to have a conversation. I don't need a conference room. I'm not going to work at General Motors here. This is a local office that's owned by the community. I can go into your office. Most generally I come here and there's not anybody here that I want to talk to. I have to set up an appointment. But, people need to try to get along a little better on this board. And if there is foul language going on between people, if there is, that's totally wrong. You are supposed to be professionals. And if you use profanity, that's totally unprofessional. And if somebody upsets you, you can stand up and walk in the other room, but you don't start calling them names. I don't come in here calling you names. You've never heard me call you names, make slanderous comments toward you. You've never heard me do that because that's not the way I believe things should be done.
I agree.
There's no reason you can't talk to people professionally. And that's even people you don't like. We've all worked with people we don't like. That's the way it is. But you don't start using profanity on them. That's all I got to say.
Okay, thank you.
Everybody just needs to grow up.
I would just like to congratulate Renee Kraft on earning the designation of certified municipal clerk. It takes a lot of hard work.
Oh,
and
that's right.
dedication.
Congratulations. I'm sorry, Renee.
Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you, Renee. Sorry, I'm sorry. I kept thinking, we got you in the paper, but I'm sorry.
Thank you for your comment. Marilee?
Thank you. Marilee Parsons, 80 Hickory Ridge. Under the new business, item B says resolve office space issues. I know you don't think you should talk to me, so I'll just say we really rarely have, I think, an adequate representation of the public here. When there's an issue like the devoted barn, the hot item of the fire situation, that was a hot issue. So sometimes those really hot issues, people come in. It's good. If people were really kind and interested in improving the situation, things might go differently. But be it known that by law, you do not have to have this wall between the board and the citizens. That's a decision you made, using Robert's rules to do so, and in accordance with a trend with the townships, the Michigan townships. School boards do it too, other groups do it, because they can. It's kind of a murky water, how we interact, how we interface. Actually, state of Michigan does encourage interfacing with your community in a situation like this that has guidelines. So if we were following those guidelines, we might be able to look forward to doing that, having an interface with community board. But back to the new business, it's sad that, and it's really kind of startling that you wouldn't resolve the issue first for the clerk. Clean or help the clerk.
I've offered several times.
And make, a bigger effort to help her with those records. When I was working on the Old Township Hall, when we first began the clean out there, a lot of records were in the basement. And, not one person can do that. That was a major job. And there was a little bit of an attitude that the clerk should just take care of everything. That's, she should get rid of everything. And you clearly need a lot of help to do that. But just to go ahead and what you did tonight, you should have stuck with what you said here, the resolution, to improve the situation. This just sounds like you just decided.
I started this a year ago.
Well, it might take more than that, because there's one of the biggest issues facing any administration is the paperwork, are the files. That's a huge problem everywhere, files. So it was just I think it was disrespectful to do that without helping her first. Find a situation that would improve that.
Thank you. You're welcome. Anybody else? Sure.
Excuse me. Mr. Sturz will not put this back.
Thanks. So this discussion was pretty interesting. You may have noticed the raggedy conditions upstairs. I hope you take a look up there. The Township Hall has spent over $500,000 on the old Township Hall with no genuine future for its use. For 3 years, the meeting room upstairs there has had the carpet torn up. Diane, on her own initiative, decided to block off the room and put a corner shelf in there, making it less usable. And also, in the last 4 years, there's never been one book in that shelf. If you take a look at the cove base, that was removed about 3 years ago by the paint contractor, and I've heard many times it's going to be replaced, haven't been replaced. So there's that meeting room up there that's never used for anything. And let's see, that room that's so desirable and that the clerk uses for storage, early voting, many things, she's going to use that for Caitlin, Diane's little buddy. Caitlin was paid for $16,000 last year from COVID funds. Now she's getting paid $18,000 this year from the Rose Township. And all they do is go in there and cackle and laugh. There's also, when you FOIA what Caitlin does, there's no job description. So since there's no job description, she shouldn't be allowed to be paid anything. And if you ask anything she's done in the last term that she's been in that job, no one gets a FOIA. You can't get it from FOIA. So take a look at what's up there and how they take care of the building. So then, today, there's water coming in underneath the bathroom door down here. Got pictures of that. Here's pictures of the shelving, the carpet. This is how they take care of stuff, how Diane takes care of stuff. And I've gone on her ass for 4 years about this. And she doesn't do anything about that raggedy room that they could use for Caitlin's office, they could use for a meeting room, and not disturb Debbie's storage room, whatever she's going to use that for. Oh, and on me, let's see. the FU on me. So the FU isn't on me tonight, but FU is on my heart and on my lips. Diane.
Thank you, Mr. Stern. Anybody else?
I would just like to additionally say that, Paul, if you produce
You
those
already
recordings,
made a comment, didn't you?
I didn't use my 3 minutes.
Are you sure?
Yes, I am.
Okay, go ahead.
Don't interrupt.
If you will produce those recordings, I will publicly apologize to you here and at the NACFA board and in the Tri-County Times. And going forward until you leave office, I will endorse every motion that you make.
Buddy.
Okay. Anybody else? Are you speaking on behalf of the public?
Yes.
Okay.
Honorable Board, I am Renee Kraft, Deputy Clerk here in this wonderful Township of Rose. I just want to make sure that the record is clear that I worked here for 3.5 years, and in the 3.5 years I've worked here, the office space upstairs, which we have called our storage room for elections, has been a storage room for elections the whole 3.5 years that I have worked here, and it was shared with the cat. And I asked Debbie how long she's used that as storage, and she said since Emil stopped working here, and that was about 6 years ago. So I just want the record, I just want it to be on record that that has been a storage room for 6 years. You changed it into a conference room 3 months ago, and now you're telling us to get our stuff, which is actually Rose Township records, not our stuff. It is Rose Township records. You're asking us to remove from our storage room that you renamed the conference room and put a table in.
With the board's permission.
Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
time.
Thank you.
Wow. Wow, that's what you say.
Yeah.
Wow.
We didn't fully resolve the issue
She
before
already
you
came
did
in my
that.
office and told me what she thought of it earlier in the year.
Wow.
Talk about not
Make a
swearing.
statement.
That's a personnel issue, which you do
Excuse
not
me.
have the
Excuse
right
me.
to bring up.
We're in a meeting right now.
Ooh, that's another personnel issue right there, too.
That's correct.
Go ahead.
I know you guys had made a resolution to try to keep these meetings orderly. I have in the past brought all of my grandchildren in here over the years to learn how to become involved in all of this, to vote, to pay attention to who's in office. There is no way in the last couple of years I would ever bring my grandchild into this. You all know why. You've all seen the meetings. However, it's a really good idea to have maybe kind of a little bit more of a town hall type thing happening here. But I'm going to have to get with some of the township supervisors and people around the state that I know and just say, how do they mix the two when there's such disruption? Because your First Amendment is very important, but it can be superseded by the law that allows me the right as a citizen to a meeting, public meeting, that is not disrupted and that is safe, that you don't get pushed around on the stairs, lots of things. The other thing I'd like to do is debunk the lie kind of that was coming from this end of the room about, hold on here, her trying to fire the chief. I would like to make it clear, and it's fact that at one time, the citizen at large and the 2 Rose Township residents would have voted to fire the chief. I was upset that they didn't. I've known Jeremy for a long time. What I know about all the advanced life supports agencies in the state and in the country, he's not qualified, and I've said that to his face. I'm not saying this behind his back. He's not qualified for the advanced position, advanced organization that it is.
This has turned into a law.
So I would just like to say that she could have fired him. She had the votes. I'm not the board. So don't let anybody tell you that she tried to. She may have done a little investigation as to if I have to, what do I do? How do I go about it? But let's be clear that she did not, and she probably should have.
Right in township meeting, she said, I'm trying to fire the fire chief. I'm trying to fire the fire chief, she said. It's on the
Anybody
recording.
else have a Public comment?
It's on the recording, it's on the YouTube,
Thank you.
it's on the township meeting. I'm trying to fire the fire chief.
You do, Mr. Stern?
Blah, blah, blah,
I'd
blah,
like to adjourn the meeting.
blah, 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 blah.
Time?
Adjourn, 8:09.
Don't you need help? Don't you need help adjourning? You got old Mulvihill helping you with everything.
Next time.
It's not recorded.
A lot easier to do all things with talk during. I'm almost to call names, you know? You can do that.
I didn't call anybody names. I listen to you every time you come to this meeting, you say the same thing. This is what the board decides, as a board, not just me.